This is two shy guys a mile high.
So, vertical integration is when black people come together, they get their mindset together, they get their empowerment culture together, then they have an actual vision, a group vision to go somewhere, you need some type of direction. The third thing is ethno-aggregation, so we as black people need to get together in our own communities so we can thrive and survive on ourselves.
But the only way we're going to do that is we got to be able to trust each other.
Yep.
And we got to be able to learn from each other.
And that hits into the next last point, and that's that vertical integration. And that's where I said, like, as black people, we cannot be fighting the same fight as poor white people. Like, it's not about that, because that leads into thinking that if one rises up,
somebody
missing out, instead of let's all work together and it's black folks versus everybody. And I'm not saying that in the negative way, like we going to war with everybody. It's like us versus everybody. It's like we need to look out for ourselves at the end of the day, so we don't end up with the scraps. Because the more we try to align with different causes, we're going to get fed off the scraps.
Bro, it's deeply rooted though, right? You know what I'm saying? It goes back to generations of this is your worth, right? And you thinking that I got to compete with the next guy just to even survive, right? I mean, go back to slavery times, right? It was, you know, you had the house nigga, the field nigga, all that. And it's the same culture, the same African black culture, whatever you want to call it there, right? But they got to competing. Like, and that system has been still in place where I'm competing with my fellow man for just the right to sit at the table where everybody should be equal anyway.
To this day.
To this day. It's But I'm saying it's deep in the culture though, and it's like social media don't make it that much better because now you're getting a snapshot
because you're seeing it right in front of your
but
eyes.
It ain't the truth though.
And it just gets to the point where everybody wants to one up each other instead of just wanting to win.
Yeah, everybody should want to win. But you know what? We shall overcome. Hey, that's a great segue.
That is the topic.
That's the topic of today. We talking about overcome. We had some other previous episodes in this series about change. So first, we talked about change itself. Then we talked about what we thought was the second stage, was adapting, and now we're talking about overcoming.
Man, whew. Like that's a different intro. I like that because we just kind of just caught ourselves talking about some things, and it just segued into that. But man, you gotta understand your history, though, right?
Yeah.
You gotta understand where you started from. You gotta understand where you at now, and you gotta understand where you're trying to go. Because if you don't know those times in your life or those places where I have to grow or I'm not gonna succeed, you're just not gonna go anywhere. So speaking about overcoming, how do you break through from you know, I have to change, I know the steps I have to do, I'm taking those steps, but when you really get to the end of that and you overcome the adversity, if you will, or the challenge.
Whoever said progress was a slow process wouldn't talk about me.
hey,
that's a throwback.
Go ahead, man.
For real.
But just and I think it all starts off with like a lot of the stuff that we see is just put in front of our eyes and stuff, and we don't do enough with our ears, man. We just got to listen and learn about history and what happened before us, because we got to know exactly what happened on the story to figure out how we can mold ourselves into how we continue to progress, because we as a black community, a black family, we got to be able to adapt to different situations and change our mind of thinking, our frame of thinking, because it's all about everybody helping each other out instead of one-upping somebody. I just feel like a lot of people get caught up with the fact that everything is just looking at everything as a competition when it doesn't have to be that way.
Wow. And
then it's just like, you know, it's the the crab pot? Everybody pulling each other down so that they can pull themselves up instead of just working as a unit and all pushing each other up, knowing that we all get to the finish line together. Right. And I just feel like that's another thing that for the black community to overcome as a whole. We got to be able to lend that helping hand instead of just saying, like, I got it first.
Lift up.
Or I got it now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, everybody, I mean, of course, you know, money, you know, it runs the world and stuff, but we also got to think about family and our lineage, because without that, there's no reason, you know what I'm saying? We got to support the future your kids, you know what I'm saying, your family. You just got to be able to have these things in order to get through the situation.
Yes, sir.
And you need that type of brethren here with you to help build you up and help you into that person, because it takes more than just one.
Exactly. Especially when you just
said a lot
know.
of powerful stuff right there, brother. Yes. I hope people got that.
Especially when you don't know, right? Like, but that's tying it back to history. You got to know where you've been to know where you're going, or at least have an idea. So you hit that, man, and the synergy that is needed between just everybody. I mean, Black America for sure, but everybody, man, just getting off that high horse of like, yo, it's either me or you. It's not that. You know, why can't it be us? You know what I'm saying? Why can't we go to that next level, right? And I think that's the whole crux of this podcast, man. Like, we could keep all this knowledge to ourselves, but we know we've been through some things, and people listening might be wondering, like, man, how did y'all get through that?
So now you're talking about being through some things. So how do you overcome any like bad decisions that you make?
Sure.
How do you overcome some bad decisions you make, man? You just got to overcome them by acknowledging them and moving forward. Because the more you dwell on it, the more you think about it, the more it's going to get into your psyche, and the more you're going to believe that bad decision defines you.
And first step is admitting that you got a problem.
For real. For real. Hey. You got to admit that you got a problem. Because if you really, and at the standpoint with that too, is like, the more you start to think about it, you believe the things, because we believe all of our thoughts. And once that starts getting into our head, it's like, man, I can't overcome this bad decision. And I know this, and I'm very well versed in this topic because I am not the best at dealing with bad decisions and failures, but I'm getting better. And part of launching this podcast and getting our messages out there is to let people know about our personal struggles. So I've had decisions where it's like, okay, it's not the best relationship thing that I did, or holding on to a situation where I shouldn't have, or not made the right business move or job move. But the more you think about what you're not doing instead of just doing, man, you're going to just get caught in the past instead of shaping and forming your future.
You missing out, and you dwelling on things that is out of your control at that point. Only thing you can do is look at it for what it was. It was a learning opportunity. You're alive and well. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, mentally alive as well, and you can learn from that.
It's a lot of things that we can be thankful for every day that we take for. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We take it with a grain of salt. Like, you know what I'm saying? One thing is just being alive another day. You know what I'm saying? You just got to wake up and bless them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now and then, and you know what I'm saying? Just like you said, just realizing that something's going on and acknowledging that, because you can put it, you know what I'm saying? You can think that something's not happening or everything's okay, where it's really eating at you, and it's tearing you up, and it's getting you knocked off your psyche or your normal foundation. So, you know what I'm saying? You can have a stable foundation, wall crumbles, right?
Yeah, not only having a stable foundation, you coming from a place of abundance. If you feeling like you blessed all the time just because you simply woke up, just simply because you can put clothes on your back and eat some food, you're not going to be pulling your fellow brother down. Because you're coming from a place where you already feel like you have something. So if you already feel that you have something and there is more for you, you don't feel like you need to pull the next person down.
Yep. And that's a tough topic, man. You know, especially just looking at like your own self, right? Like, because we can look at other people's bad decisions. I mean, presidential decisions that have rippled. I mean, we won't go into a political discussion, but I'm saying those decisions, they can have lasting consequences, right? If you don't think about it thoroughly. But if we're talking about bad decisions personally, like you said, I mean, ownership of it, I think, is the first step, right? Just saying, hey, that might not have been the best use of my mental power there. I messed up. Okay, how do I go forward? And I think, we've talked about this throughout the series. Change is an evolution, right? And overcoming is the last piece of it. Maybe not the final, but the last piece that you need to kind of maintain that level of sanity. Like, hey, I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna fall, but those like my friend here says, those decisions are not going to define you unless you let them define you. So really overcoming your own personal biases or own personal expectations that might be too high coming from like other sources, like just growing up a certain way. There might have been expectations on you to do something and you know what I'm saying? And you felt pressure from other sources. But like now you're grown, hopefully, or you're growing into a person that you're going to become. you're gonna have to own up to it, and you're gonna have to go like, man, look,
and I think it's about
how do I get through that, you know?
And as we talk about overcoming, one of the things that you do is that, you know what I'm saying, after you acknowledge that there is something going wrong, being able to forgive, because a lot of people keep things, you know, pent up, and
Yes, sir.
you know, the pressure burst pipes. So, you know what I'm saying, being able to, you know, forgive people for situations that happen, you know what I'm saying, just talk to yourself, have a conversation with God, and just understand that you understand things happen, and you just got to be able to adapt, and that's the whole purpose. And that's how I think that it ties together with the adaptation portion of it. It's just like, it's got to be connected.
Yes, sir.
So maybe one of y'all two can take this next question that I do have. You hit on about forgiveness of people. How do you overcome people, and how do you overcome people that you feel like are trying to pull you down, whether it be because they don't like you, maybe they don't like the color of your skin, maybe they don't like the waves, maybe they don't like your fraternity.
Yeah.
Yo to the nukes. But how do you overcome other people that just really try to just pull you down?
Wow.
And go mob, hold on. he just can't be going like that. But no, man, that's a tough one, and I think that it also starts with, you know what I'm saying, forgiving people, because I don't feel like, you know what I'm saying, for me personally, I don't feel like everybody's always at the right mental state. So people sometimes go up on what they react based off instinct, and they don't take time to actually think. Because I'm an analytical type of person, man. I like to think and process things.
Yes, sir.
And I might not give you an answer right away, but I'm thinking about it. I might be looking at you funny, but I'm thinking about what you asked me. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking into consideration. I want to give my actual thoughts on how I feel to you, and then to let you be able to be receptive to that and take it how you feel. So I feel like, you know what I'm saying, everybody's not out to hurt you. I understand things happen, so I wouldn't say I'm like, you know what I'm saying, super open to just be like, hey, anybody do me wrong and it's all good. But it's just like, you know, I remember things, but I forgive people, man. It's
you
just
got a certain
situations.
level of maturity there.
Yeah.
I mean, you get it because you're human and you've gone through some things yourself, and you just want people. And let me not speak for you, but if I can just sum it up, you want people to really just understand you as a person, accept you for you, because you're giving them the same benefit of the doubt. Like, I know you're going through something. You might not be trying to jap out at me or
jap.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? You might not be trying to just come at me with the lip service. Yeah, just jap out. I mean, Chicago, shout out for sure. But you're not trying to jap. It's one of them days. Like, you just called me on a bad day. And you get that people have bad days. So overcoming some of that and forgiving them up front. Like, if you come at me sideways and you ain't really trying to hurt me, then I can matrix that thing. I can just kind of let that just roll off my shoulder, because like, maybe you just having a bad day.
The whole thing is you gotta be at peace with things. So it's like being able to have that release. Like, if I feel like, hey man, it's all good, I forgive you, I understand, or I might say to somebody, hey, I forgive you. I'll never go forget.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm at peace with the situation. I thought about it, and I'm just like, okay, how did I learn from this? How did I grasp whatever knowledge that I learned from this situation out? And then I'll be my own judge.
So
you don't have to
coming from a positive standpoint.
Yeah, coming from
like,
a positive. Yeah. I'm always trying to be positive with things.
Sir.
You know what I'm saying? I understand, like, things happen, but you know what I'm saying? I forgive. I don't forget. But you know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? It just might not be as cool as it was before if it's dealing with somebody or something like that. Because you got
you're human, like I said. You don't let it eat you up inside.
Yeah, exactly. And by being at peace with it, you know what I'm saying, I talk to, you know what I'm saying, being able to talk to the Lord, I just be, you know what I'm saying, I get to a point where I'm just like, have a conversation, hey, this is what's going on with me, I'm at peace with it, I feel okay about it, and I want to move on to the next part of my life.
Right.
So that's just how I deal with things, and that's...
Because it's going to weigh you down. It's going to weigh you down. All that negativity is just a weight.
We got shit coming from every direction,
yes, sir. That's
right. Being a black man, just growing up in America, we got we got stuff coming from every direction, bro. We got to be able to defend ourselves.
We got stuff coming from every direction, like Soldier Road. We step out, I heard pow, 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 and I grabbed my chain and pow, like every day. It just sounds like straight tip foil, but every day is so tough, and people need to be empathetic of that struggle, and also need to realize that people need to understand you for you. That is one thing that I am noticing is just wrong in the world. I'm trying to get myself together and making sure that I'm just trying to be 100 with who I am as a person, so I can be myself to other people and they can understand me for who I am.
It's easy.
Not being a form of myself or a social media form of myself. The more you are able to be yourself and stick to the script, You don't even have to switch nothing up. It's like if you just live your life, you just live your life. You don't have to worry about too many decisions you need to make.
Let me interject here, and I mean I'm loving this, man, because this is real. Like you got to, when you yourself, man, it just things just seem to kind of flow, right? It's like you don't have to second guess a lot of stuff. Like I think that's where when people say I got in the flow with something, like it's just unconscious, you know, like just with hooping, right? When the basket's like so wide, like you like, man, I'm hitting 16 out of 16. You know, if you can get to that point in your life, I think that's where you in your sweet spot. You're like, I'm content with all the naysayers that's going to be there. Whatever. I'm content with
at peace with
it. I mean, because they gonna come. It's no way. But why are you gonna let that stop you from walking in your true purpose, right? You know what I'm saying? That's the definition of really happiness, right? Understanding who you are as a person, the value you bring not only to yourself but to the others around you, and being that spark that can kind of get people moving in the right direction.
I heard another person say, they said, if you were on the way to the store and got stopped by a red light, what would you do? I keep going after the green light. So why can we not do that in our own lives? Why do we feel like somebody's stopping me? Oh, I'm going to turn around and go home. It ain't meant for me. Oh, you got to keep pushing. You want that food?
Keep pushing. Be patient. Patience. Hey, no, but I do got to, I want to hear your thoughts on this, Dub B. So like, how do you overcome things at work?
How do I overcome things at work?
Because I know it's a challenging thing being in, being in the STEM field, just engineering background, and dealing with things that change on the fly every day. We dealing with a varying environment,
dynamic, super dynamic, ambiguous. I use all the buzzwords. Yeah, it's you don't know. You don't know what the day gonna
no buzzword.
He tried to don't know.
He tried to floss with 10 of them real quick.
You don't know.
I think that the easiest way to overcome a bad decision is to make people forget about the bad decision. So if you take that as like, all right, that did not work. I need to switch up the script and do something different and do something productive that outshines what happened in the past. Mm-hmm. You can propel yourself into the next steps of saying, okay, we kind of forgave that. But it takes a lot of work to do that because you can be super critical in yourself. Mm-hmm. There's also people at work that don't want to see you succeed. So it's a little bit, they don't like you because you're a black man wanting to speak up and you're very sure of yourself. So now they're going to make you look like you're the argumentative person, like you're the problem, those microaggressions too. So you got to all weigh that in too and just say, that's just feedback at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Yes, the results do speak for themselves, but how can you use that from a positive mentality and make a better decision next time? And I think that is some of the struggle that we probably are dealing with. I think that as black people, as black women in these engineering STEM fields, we're dealing with companies that are over 100 years old. They're used to doing things a certain type of way. Wow. So
it's hard for them to change.
One, even from the industry standpoint, it's hard for them to change. But two, you may be the first black person in life that had told them they are wrong and this is what they need to do, and they have to listen to you.
Or the first black person that they've ever led.
Woo.
You see what I'm saying? Like just being honest with you, like at the senior level, I don't think it's too many people that have led African American guys. You know what I'm saying? Let alone minorities. And it's like, it's interesting because I'm assuming the higher you go up, the more political pressure you're under. Just because you're just responsible for more people. Like, I'm assuming. Obviously, I'm not at a senior super high VP level, but if it's meant for me, I'll be there. But you got to look at the situations. Like, if you've never dealt with an African-American person at a senior level coming from a different industry, how do you set them up for success, right, in there? You know, if like I said, if you want to, right? But the change is tough because they don't even know. They don't even know what questions to ask to get the system in place. And I think that's the disconnect that tech companies are having. They don't know what questions to ask, or they don't want to ask them in the way that's going to get to the real problem. We're going to skirt around it and just kind of fill and check this box. When we really need to look at the situation, you got to go and get and understand what you don't understand. Like, don't make assumptions by these analytics. Analytics is one way to look at it, but you got to go ask the questions physically. Get in there, talk to people. I want to know what drives you as an African American male, how can I help you be successful? And I don't know if we're having those conversations. And it's hard to overcome and change if you're not willing to own up and accept those
consequences. Because the numbers
right?
be lying. If you really know and do your math right, you could make a chart say whatever you want it to do to make a false assumption happen and be like, all right, this is the conclusion we need to make, because there's biases through that too. So that's also why we want to encourage people to get into the STEM field, because if we're not in the room when they're making these algorithms or these decisions and social biases, we
can't control our destiny at all.
The system's going to proliferate from the physical world to the digital world. So I think we need to be behind that a little bit.
Wow. Damn, man.
And just because like a lot of things, and because we work in such a dynamic field, just having people on board that's actually receptive to the knowledge that's being spit out there. Like you said, you can fluctuate the numbers to say whatever you wanted to say, and if you got a good person talking, they can sell that story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? So being able to be in the field where we can understand what's going on and are knowledgeable about the field, so we can actually, because we can change things right now. And I feel like we got to the point where like our knowledge span is enough that we can succeed, and we just need to, if we pull it all together and actually hone in on it, we can make something happen as a global in a global way.
Gotcha. For
just like the black culture, man.
Yeah,
man, that's we started getting together, man.
The three different, three totally different people.
Three totally different.
But we're here, you know what I'm saying, all speaking about, you know what I'm saying, one subject each time. Every time that we come in here and have this podcast in this session, we come in here and we bring all our thoughts together about one specific topic, and we branch it out in three different ways, and, or maybe even more. You know what I'm saying? It starts with this is like a tree diagram. It just keeps expanding.
The power, collaboration, and the think tank.
No, but I think that's what it is. I mean, and these topics are obviously near and dear to our heart. You know what I'm saying? Because we can't get anywhere without overcoming. I mean, if you look at our race, man, I mean, we've gone through so much, and obviously we've overcome a lot, and we still have a lot of things to.
The marathon continues.
But honestly, for real, we got to keep pushing, and we got to keep that grit about us and keep going, because obstacles are going to happen, and we got to keep overcoming that, man. And yeah, go ahead, P. I didn't mean to cut you off.
So I know in every episode we actually define what overcoming is, and the definition for overcoming is succeed in dealing with a problem or difficulty to surmount.
Wow.
And we always like to end off the show giving some Black history fact. What we got today?
Man, my head hurt. I ain't going to say this fact no more, but real talk, I'm going to say this out of respect for the person and not the team. So we're going to talk about somebody who plays for the Seattle Seahawks. He's a linebacker. His name is Shaquem Griffin. Shaquem was born July 20th, 1995. But one unique thing about him, he was born a twin, but he was also born with amniotic band syndrome, so I apologize. It causes fingers on his left hand to not fully develop. So what happened is that he was about to amputate his own arm off. His mama walked into the house, saw him about to amputate his arm, and she's like, what are you doing? So they took him to a doctor because he was saying that was giving him so much pain. That's what he wanted to do. They amputated his hand at the age of 4. Wow. He still continued playing sports with his twin brother, even going on to UCF to play football there, being very successful. All with, one hand that's normal, one hand that has an amputated hand. And then he balled out at the combine. He had 20 reps in the bench press, and he set the record at the NFL combine for the 40 time for linebackers. And then he was drafted by the Seattle Seahawks in the 5th round. Man, that is overcome right there. He did not stop.
Wow.
And he has so many things that were in front of him, so many obstacles to hurdle.
Right. Literal obstacles to hurdle.
Man.
Literal.
And
he didn't let that stop him. Wow.
He overcame, man.
Yeah, definitely overcame. So he is a testament to a lot of great causes, and just as a person, he can touch it. That's powerful, man.
Shout out to the Griffin brothers.
Shout out to the Griffin brothers.
For real. And shout out to y'all, man. Appreciate y'all listening, man. For real.
Yeah. This 2 Shot Guys are Mount High. We out.
We out.